everyone for coming. You are at the Lawrence Board of Health meeting. Today is September 10th, and I am Dr. Joel Gorin, the chair of the Board of Health, and to my left is Stephen Hill, who is our nurse and another Board of Health member. To my left is Michael Armano, Director of Inspectional Services, as well as the agent to the Board of Health. Today we're here to discuss the risk of triple E in our community and what can be done to reduce risk. To start off briefly, we are faced this year in Massachusetts with a increase in reported cases of Eastern equine encephalitis. Triple E, as it is known, is a very serious but very rare illness. The cases that have been identified this year have all occurred in counties to our south. There have been 7 human cases in the state of Massachusetts, and the cases that were reported have all been in Plymouth, Bristol, and Worcester counties. It is a rare disease, but it is certainly a serious disease, as morbidity and mortality, if infected, is quite high. Right now, the Department of Public Health has determined that 36 communities in the state of Massachusetts are considered at critical risk for triple E infection, and the DPH has advised to cancel or modify activities outside of in the hours between dusk and dawn. Lawrence, our community, right now is considered high risk. We have not had any human cases, yet we have surrounding communities that have not only identified mosquitoes that carry triple E, but there has been a case of one horse in Methuen that died of this illness. As public health officials, we are here to help our residents do the best that they can to lower their risk and do what we can to prevent infection with this very dangerous illness. Many have asked, I've received a lot of emails about aerial spraying. Is Lawrence going to spray? When are we spraying? A lot of the decisions related to aerial spraying are made by the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. They have completed spraying in Bristol and Plymouth counties, and right now, as we speak, they are spraying in Worcester County. No decision, as far as I know, has yet been made to whether spraying will take place in Lawrence. We urge residents not to be alarmed. Again, this is an extremely rare disease. 7 cases in a state with 7 million people. That's 1 in a million chance at this point in time to be infected with this illness. As we move to colder months ahead, the risk, of course, will decrease till it is non-existent. So I'd like to, if possible, to Mike, is there a way that you could you can present from your seat the most important things individuals can do for primary prevention?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Gorin. So, first thing, like you said, of course, is don't panic but be smart. Use precautions. Take precautions when you're outdoors. Specifically, the list that we came up with. Wear long sleeve shirts and pants in the evening. Don't forget the socks. That's something that both Dr. Gorin, you've preached, as well as the Department of Public Health. Make sure that you protect your skin. So we have a pamphlet that we sent out recently. Some people have seen it. It says dress, drain, defend, and avoid. We've been going out to the public. We've disseminated this material over at the Feast of the Three Saints, Fred and Roses, and we've just recently started going on some radio broadcasts giving some of this information. The first one, of course, is dress, which is what we're talking about here. Also, use appropriate mosquito repellent, and there are some recommendations on the Department of Public Health website as to which repellents you should use, some containing DEET, what the safe percentages are, and which ones you use some sort of mosquito repellent, that's important. Draining water, which is second on our list here, this could be anywhere. There could be water in a bird bath, there could be water in a swimming pool that's not chlorinated properly, there could be water on a recycling bin. The bottom line, if there's standing water, mosquitoes, of course, can breed on the standing water. You can do things like poke holes on containers so that the water drains out, make sure things are emptied around the yard, and you just don't have any standing water. Refill bird baths every 3 days. That comes around to saying that, again, mosquitoes, when they breed, they say it's, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, about 4 days where eggs can start forming. So if you're cleaning water, if water is chlorinated, then you, like in a swimming pool, you shouldn't have these problems. If you're refilling bird baths every 3 days, then you should be okay. Drilling holes at the bottom of the recycling bins, we talked about that. Keeping windows closed and assure that screens are in good condition. So, again, you're protecting yourself by dressing and wearing repellent. You protect your home by making sure that mosquitoes aren't getting inside of your home screens and holes and whatnot. The bottom line is avoid, when possible, mosquitoes. Whether you're protecting yourself, whether it's something where you might have the opportunity to reschedule an activity. If you want to do that and you have the ability to do that, then you can reschedule an activity during the day. I think, like you said, Dr. One, the message is we're not going out panicking saying that you should cancel activities. Just use common sense and do the best you can to avoid these areas where mosquitoes are around.
Great. Perfect. Any questions from the public? Yes, sir.
You said that aerial spraying is controlled basically by the state. Is there any reason that the city can't bring in truck-mounted spraying?
Decisions whether to use this particular pesticide is quite complicated. You have to weigh the risks and the benefits to any intervention. Right now, Lawrence has the highest rate of asthma in the state of Massachusetts, and spraying can certainly affect and can provoke asthma exacerbation. Given that Lawrence is a high-risk, not a critical risk community, the recommendation is that spraying provides little benefit in terms of reducing overall risk. Certainly, communities can take it upon themselves to hire companies that do spraying, not aerial spraying, but truck spraying, as you have mentioned, and I think some have. But we have not looked at the costs or the possibilities, as the Department of Public Health does not seem to have recommended spraying in communities that are not at critical risk.
The reason I asked, I was surveying up in Exeter, New Hampshire, and they had a truck go by at about 1 mile an hour. Wooded area, he was spraying. Now,
Can you use the mic? They can't hear you.
Okay, Dick Russell, 34 Cross Street. Okay, I was working surveying up in, excuse me, Exeter, New Hampshire, when they had a truck-mounted sprayer go by at 1 mile an hour. Up one side, went in the cul-de-sac, looped around the cul-de-sac and back out. That's the reason I mentioned the truck-mounted sprayer. Of course, I know this building is famous for wasting money on other issues. I consider EEE, even though I don't know what the fine line is between high risk and critical. That you know, I won't get into that. I mean, again, a fine line. But again, I think if public safety is involved, money be damned, spend it. You know, I'd rather see money spent on something productive, one way or another, as opposed to whatever. But I mean, that's just my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
And I have worked in the woods. I work in the woods. The sleeves are down. I got deep woods off. I got my ankles taped so the ticks can't get up, and I got the stuff around my head so the mosquitoes can't get me. And I've survived this long. Thank you.
Very good. I mean, I think you made a great point, and that is that you have taken all the proper measures to prevent mosquito bites, tick bites, when you work outside in the field. And that's exactly what we are suggesting that individuals do. It is personal responsibility to take those measures. You will reduce your risk 1,000-fold by taking those measures. And I really strongly believe that spraying in, whether it be Denrock Park or in, our watershed, I don't know if that's going to have a significant impact on the overall risk to our population, which is already extremely low. So I think that at the state level, those decisions have been made with those considerations, especially given the high rates of asthma in the city of Lawrence, the fact that we have not had a human case in this entire county. But certainly things could change. But what we're all hoping for is that as the colder weather approaches, we will be looking at a diminishing risk in and of itself for mosquito-borne illnesses, not just Triple E, but West Nile virus, which we have not seen this year. So, any other comments or questions? Okay, the Department of Public Health, the Health Department for the City of Lawrence will continue to issue bulletins, recommendations. We have also can provide websites to educate the public further on what are the proper mosquito repellents to use. And we will continue to perform public outreach to educate our citizens as to how to reduce risk of Triple E. Thank you very much, and what's that? Okay, our next Board of Health meeting, let me pull out my phone. Our next Board of Health meeting will be October 8th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pending your schedule. Okay, well, thank you very much, and that concludes our discussion this evening, and have a good evening. Good night.
Abdu. I'm your chairman this evening. I am joined this evening by the councilor from District A, Maria Dela Cruz, and councilor at large, Brian Dupin. With that, I would ask everyone stand and pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. Thank you, everyone. This evening we have two candidates, two items before us. We'll take them in order. The first item is number 27919, is an appointment sent down by the mayor, Ms. Heather Abreu, to the Cultural Council. And at this time, I would ask that Ms. Abreu come forward and introduce herself to the committee. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the Cultural Council. It's all good.
Good evening. My name is Heather Abreu. I'm from 45 Middlebury Street in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I guess I am very nervous here. I've never had to do like any public speaking, but anyway, I'm interested in the Cultural Council. I was actually speaking to Pat Mariano and Elsa Sanchez, and they encouraged me to participate. I've been working for the city of Lawrence, the Lawrence Public Schools, for the past 28 years. So I find that the mission for the Cultural Council is it's quite interesting as they work to provide services for nonprofit organizations, and they strive for excellence. And I really I'm committed to the city. As I've said, I've been working here for 28 years, and I truly love the city.
Well, Ms. Abreu, thank you. First of all, a lot of that is self-evident on your application, which I would note is one of the more thoroughly completed applications, and you've done a lot. And I want to say it's impressive, and thank you for making yourself available to help out Ms. Mariano, who chairs the Cultural Council, and serve the city through the Cultural Council. So with that, I would ask if I have questions of the candidate by any of our members this evening. Councilor Dela Cruz.
I would like to say thank you for serving, and being a volunteer is a prize. It's something that comes from the heart, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you. It's great.
I want to say thank you tonight. Service free is I appreciate it because many people doing different activity in the community, but the first question is how much is the salary, how much pay, but when somebody take a decision for doing a service free, I appreciate it. My congratulations.
Thank you.
And I would just note that your diversity of contributions to the community over the last 20 years, I believe, will be an asset to the Cultural Council. They do a lot with very little, and a lot of it is volunteer time. And so it is a I think, as Councilor DePayne said, it's not paid, and it's a huge contribution to the fabric of our community.
I look forward to getting involved and being committed to the council.
Are there any other questions, comments, or motions?
Second the motion.
No, I make a motion to send it to favorable
council.
recommendation to this full city council.
Second.
There is a motion and there is a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to send Ms. Abreu to the full city council with a favorable recommendation? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Abreu, this evening this committee has recommended you for this position. It will go before the full city council next Tuesday. I would ask that you come back next Tuesday evening. It'll probably be in the 8 o'clock hour. Make yourself available should any of our colleagues have questions of you.
Okay.
It'll be okay. We haven't heard anyone yet.
my gosh, all right.
All right, so, if you could make yourself available next Tuesday night for the full council meeting, at that time, there will be a vote, and you should be all set next Tuesday
All
night.
right, then,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Councilors, if I could, before I forget, if we could take, out of order the minutes from July 24th.
I make a motion to approve minute to 07/24/19.
Second?
Let the record show that Councilor DePena made a motion to accept the minutes of July 24th. It's been properly seconded by Councilor Dela Cruz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. That is accepted into the record. The last item, period, on our agenda is item number 28019, the appointment of Robert H. Irving to the Airport Commission. I would ask that Mr. Irving come forward, tell us a little bit about himself and why he's here this evening and why he would like to serve for a full 3-year term to the Lawrence Airport Commission.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for inviting me to introduce myself to you. I am a former resident of Lawrence. I owned a 2-family home on Tower Hill, and I later owned a single-family home in the Mount Vernon area, so I lived here for about 15 years. For the past 3 or 4 years, I've been living in the Salisbury area. I am a licensed pilot. I am a licensed remote pilot. I'm an aircraft owner. I've been flying out of Lawrence Airport for probably the last 15 or so years, so I'm pretty familiar with the airport and other airports in the regional area. I happen to think Lawrence is one of the better managed airports. I'd like to work with the current commissioners and with the management to try to continue that tradition, try to find ways of increasing revenue if that's possible. I have a very broad sales and marketing background. Perhaps there's a way to apply that in terms of going out into the community and talking to people about the benefits of doing business out of the airport. So generally, that's my background.
Well, Mr. Irving, I want to thank you as well for making yourself available for this consideration. I also would note that you have your resume and application, full complement here this evening, and quite impressive. 3,000 hours behind the stick. But I want to acknowledge your service to our country and the Air Force.
Thank you.
And the Distinguished Flying Cross is, from what I understand, not an easy thing to attain. It's tough for us tankers that are stuck to the ground to fully comprehend, but
It's tough for us up there to understand why you want to do it.
so I want to thank you for that. And I would also note and highlight from your application that you obviously, what you just stated, you have practical application, you're a pilot, but you're also a navigator in the military and military aircraft, and you're also a member of a professional society and affiliation. I personally believe, though I'm going to invite the director up in a moment, it is my humble opinion as one member of this that both your direct participation in not only aircraft ownership, but being a pilot and navigator in the history that you have, that is, it's tough to beat as far as baseline for a member. Obviously, you've gone above and beyond, and your private resume, I think that entrepreneurship and creativity is something that Mr. Miller would probably, and the rest of the board would prosper from.
Thank you.
I would note for the record this evening that we're joined by Mike Miller, the director of the airport, as well as a few of the commissioners, both past and present. I would particularly like to note retired member Charles Kalopoulos and thank him for his 20 years of service. I learned this evening 20 years Mr. Kalopoulos served, and we're not asking you to serve 20, we're just asking you to serve 3 at this time.
get by the council meeting next week, that'll be a good start.
That's it. With that, if I could, I'm going to turn it over to my members, my fellow members here, to see if they have questions of you, and then before we take any vote, I'd like Mr. Miller to come forward. Are there any questions by fellow board members?
I would like to say thank you for bringing so much knowledge to the commission of the airport. And my gosh, your resume is it's about 3 pages. Then
Thank you.
thank you for bringing and taking this kind of job that is going to bring new things for us. And I hope the entire board will listen to you because you bring a lot of expertise in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor
Yes,
Pena?
I want to say thank you for your service to the community, and you have a nice resume. I read it, but you're very qualified person for this position, and I want to say thank you because when somebody take a time for serving to the community free, I like it. I want to say thank you, and anything in the future, if you need something for my person, my good friend Calafalo, give me good advice about your person.
Thank you.
President, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Miller, would you just come up and add any final comments or details that maybe we missed or the candidate missed?
I think you've covered pretty much everything. The superlative resume that Bob has is fantastic. We're going to benefit from the airport. I think just to remove any concern, I think when he said he doesn't live in the city any longer, the ordinance in Lawrence allows the airport to have 3 members to come outside of the city limits. So Bob will be filling that 3rd seat. There's a vacancy there. So then at that point in time, all 3 non-residents are committed. He brings the history of living in Lawrence, which is fantastic because his interest of the city first. And he also has a tremendous background in business we'll be benefiting from. I look forward to working with him if confirmed to this process. I think he's going to enhance the management at the airport, and I think we'll be able to go a long way down the road to make sure that we continue to be self-sufficient and we're not a burden to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Can I ask, currently, with Mr. Irving's candidacy aside, are you at a full complement? Do you have all your board members?
No, we do have some more vacancies. We will be coming down with, I think, 3. It's just, as you know, it's difficult to recruit people for a position that's free. But we have some interested people. It's just a matter of getting those resumes from the people. Everyone's very busy at this time. The summer months were difficult. They couldn't get to the typewriter or I'm dating myself, to the computer. But I've got commitments from people that they'll be coming in. So I hope to be down here at the next personnel committee with those remaining applicants to be filled. There's reappointments in those. Under the state statute, the airport commissioners serve until either replaced or reappointed, so they can still operate with authority under Chapter 90, but it's obviously best to have them reappointed timely through the city council process. So although they're still acting in official capacity, I want to get their applications down here so that this board can then approve and we can move forward with that.
And I believe, thank you, and I believe we approved Ms. Geronimo last month, so Ms. Geronimo's been reappointed, correct?
No, it was in June, we approved Mr. Pedrick, and then we took the summer off, and now I'm getting the resumes. Now it's Mr. Irving, hopefully, and then next meeting, I'll be down here hopefully with Mr. Collins and some other new applicants.
We look forward to Mr. Collins as we do Mr. Irving, and Ms. Geronimo went to the Housing Authority, so that was my mental lapse.
I understand the lapse.
Are there any questions of Mr. Miller while we have him at the podium?
No, thank you.
Thank you for what you do at the airport, and hopefully this evening we recommend.
It's a pleasure,
this
and it's an honor to represent the city, so I'm very excited, and looking forward to having Mr. Irving join us up there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or motions?
Motion to approve, send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
Second motion.
Ms. Dela Cruz, let the record show Ms. Dela Cruz made a motion to send this candidate up with a favorable recommendation, and Mr. DePena seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Irving, congratulations. This committee has recommended you with a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
And as you heard earlier, you will, and as you cited earlier, this will be in front of the full council next Tuesday. We would ask that you make yourself available for any questions that our colleagues may have, and, again, thank you.
Certainly. Thank you, councilors.
Good night.
Good night, thank you. With that, there are no further items on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you and good evening.
evening and welcome to the Ordinance Subcommittee. Today is Tuesday, September 10, 2019. Members are present by Vice Chair, Councilor Rodriguez, and Councilor District A, Maria de la Cruz. Councilor, can I get a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting August 20?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So what we're gonna start is just to send all the document that we're gonna be sending to offices, Callan. Can we do that? And we take it as a block?
Second.
Can I get a motion to take document 271, 272, 273, 274, 275, 276, 277 as a block and send it out to the offices column for study review and table all the documents.
Yes, so move, just to make sure that we read all the.
Yeah, we're just gonna read it to table again. So is to send it to offices column, all the document as a block, 271, 272, 273, 274, 275, 276, and 278 as, to table and send it out to offices column. 277.
71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 6, 7.
Right? So it's second, all those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Document 278, okay. So, Maria, 271, 272. Okay. So the 271 loading zone parking space between 12 p.m. through 3 p.m. 272 resident-only parking, Warwick Terrace, various resident. 273 handicap parking at 25 Bromfield. 274 handicap parking 105 Dorchester. 275 removal of handicap parking sign at 170-172 Boxwood. 276 handicap parking at 51 Cross Street, and 277 handicap parking at 3031 Kendrick Street.
So motion to table all those items.
And motion to table,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. 278 is an ordinance change to ban driving use a handheld device between a school zone during the hours 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the school year. So, I think that is,
That's for the other ones. What are you doing?
so we're gonna be sending to the, okay, handle, okay, we have a amendment. Regarding the item 278, the handle device ban, that item was placed on the agenda as the request of a constriction. So we still have to send it to,
So, yes, probably, I mean, there is a state law that allow people to use, people to drive with the
Humphrey.
device, I mean, the phone. So let's consult with the city
the
attorney.
city attorney, I
That way they
believe,
can
yeah.
check and compare what's the actual current law, the state law, that allow people to
Yeah,
use phones throughout the state if they're driving around, and they can use phones with one hand and drive with the other one. So let's compare this. I mean, I'm assuming that it is a fact that we cannot create an ordinance that is going against the law. And if it is in the state law on that, so let's
we
have
still
our
have to be
city attorney
sending
review.
the item too. Can I get a motion to send it to the,
Before that, we also have to make sure that it's not from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. because it's a hand-free device law. then we need
No, I mean, it's a
The
handheld
lawyer.
device, so phones.
exactly, then we need the lawyer to revise the ordinance that was,
If we have something in place, we
State
just,
law that is-
it's in a state law
Yeah.
that we had to revise.
okay. So we still have to send the document to, the city attorney. Can I get a motion to send the document 278-19 to
So
the
move.
city attorney for,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Can I get a motion to table document 278-19?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Document 281-19, permit parking Museum Square, resident Museum Square parking proposal. It has been put in the agenda by Mayor Rivera and Councilor LaPlante. Can I get a motion to send it to, the city attorney?
Why to the city attorney?
Because we have to review it.
Do we need to review it against the agreement that is, currently in place? Or the court order that is in place? And, also I think that we should send it to the police department as well. I mean, just for the normal process.
Yeah,
And then Mr. Scott, he said something.
Motion
they should
to
have
send.
a sunset clause. But we need to have a sunset clause, so we still have to send it up.
Yep.
Yes,
So anywhere you wanna send it, that's fine.
so we have to send it to the city attorney. Can I get a motion?
A motion to send it to the city attorney.
So move.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Does it need to be sent to somebody else? I mean, I send it to whatever.
Can I get a motion to table document 281-19?
Motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Document 282-19 is a handicap parking with 2 Street South side Museum Square parking relief proposal. Can, motion to send it to Office Scanlon?
So, one eighty, you're talking about 182?
282.
282,
Can
so
you
those
take
items are related, 281, 282,
282, 284.
294, 295.
So why we don't take that as a block and send it out to,
Officer
All the same
Scanlon.
people.
it have to be sent out to Office Scanlon as well as the city attorney. Can I get a motion to take a document 282, 294, and 295 as a block?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion to send it, document 282, 294, 295 to the city attorney and also to Office Scanlon.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. 282, motion to table document 282, 294, and 295.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion to take document 283, 284, 285, and 286 as a block. 283, 284, 285, and 286.
So move.
Can I hear a second?
Well, there is a couple of things on those, I mean, do you wanna send it all to?
To Officer Scanlon, and he's gonna send it, he's gonna come out with an idea because it's the same street. So basically, what Councilor De La Cruz is trying to do is just to,
83, 84, and 85. Those three.
yeah, and but the other one is a handicap parking, I can send it all that to,
Because, I mean, those three gotta go to the city, to the city engineer too.
oh, the three other,
Handicap doesn't have to.
no, but, so Councilor De La Cruz, since we have all the document, as a block, so, can you explain a little bit more, what are you looking to do on Street?
There is a situation among, the neighbors in that area, they got tickets in a street that they fixing at this moment. The problem is that this, according to one of the officers that went to investigate, the street is too small,
Too
too narrow, and during the winter, they cannot have parking Otherwise, they have, we need to study what's gonna happen over there. And it's a two-way street at the same time.
So you're planning on
Then it needed to be converted into one street,
one way?
a one-way street.
Have to go to the city engineer.
Then, the winter parking, they had to decide what is the best for that street. And also, one-way street.
Okay,
So motion to send it to
yeah,
the,
just give me one
city
second.
engineer.
Councilor De La Cruz, I'm not familiar with that, request. They did call me, however, they did call me. They thought it was my district and I referred it to you. I recommend, we're gonna send it, we're not gonna delay the process here, but I recommend you or encourage you to talk to the resident and just explain what is going to happen. No one, just whoever lives on the street. So that way, if something comes up later, you say,
We
well,
convocated a meeting and nobody attended, only one person. And only one person gave me a picture of the tickets that she got.
So
okay,
this is
Then, I convocated a meeting, 2:00 on a Saturday, and only one person were there.
because this is the thing, Maria. We already adopted an ordinance in the city of Lawrence that parking ban is going to be completely different this year because we actually adopt and approve money for the beacon light. So essentially, the traffic ban for the winter is not going to be in effect every day like before. So if the street is very narrow
It is
and the
narrow.
plow cannot accommodate, and for the cleaning, the priority during the winter is to clean the snow.
That's why,
People get tickets because they park there, but I mean, there is a reason why there is a parking ban. And if
No,
we
they
just
got the ticket now.
adopt things around it, and then the cleaning operation is gonna be affected. So that's what we need to think about.
I understand, but I would like, Officer Escalon to do this study because he is the expert, and then to come back with recommendation for us.
okay, we're just gonna send it regardless of what we think about it, but, I have a similar situation in Bennington Street. So what I did was I met with a couple of residents and I asked the city engineer to accompany me. So she was present, she was able to answer all the questions. But like you say, you was trying to set up a meeting with them and no one showed up. But, we're gonna send it, so the document that is gonna be sent to the city engineer as well as, Officer Scanlon is document 283, 284, and 285.
So move.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
The ayes have it. Can I get a motion to table document 283, 284, and 285?
So move,
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
The ayes have it. Document 286.19, can I get a motion to send it to Officer Scanlon and table the item?
So move.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
The ayes have it. Document 292. Noise ordinance amendment, prohibited noise, Councilor Payano. So I'm not quite sure what he's looking to. We have to send correspondence to, Councilor Payano to be present and just to kind of explain what he's looking to do with the ordinance. And, from there, we decided whether we need to send this up.
So an invitation to Councilor Payano.
Yeah, can, Maria, motion to send correspondence to to Councilor Payano to be present to our next ordinance meeting. Motion can I hear a second?
Second. So move.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
The ayes have it. Can I get a motion to table document 292-19?
So move,
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
The ayes have it. Document 293-19, National Grid easement at 90 Lower Street, Police Station, Power Supply. So I think we can send this up to the full council.
Motion to approve,
That's a national,
Grid easement at 90 Lower Street, that's a police station, power supply. that we need to,
Yes, item 6319.
what?
Item 6319, third page.
Second page?
There,
Third?
is this.
Can I get a motion to take document 63-19 out of table?
Motion to move.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Document 63-19 is small sale guidances in regulation, Councilor Vice President.
Yes, at the beginning of the year, we put this item on the agenda, and we've been working with a few consultants as well as different organizations from the state to develop these rules and regulations for the city of Lawrence in terms of the small cells. So far, our city attorney have been working on it. She have some documents already that she been accommodating for this council to recommend, and also the mayor actually that it's been involved on this item. This is a very important topic in terms of
So just
small
explain,
cells.
so what are they gonna do?
This is the kind of like, the antenna that we've been approving
Uh-huh.
with our regulation back then that we have probably like close to 30 in the city. Those are the transmitter, the signal transmitter for cell phones. They're going to be sending signals and improving our signals throughout the city. And essentially, we already approved a quite amount without having proper regulations in terms of perhaps fees or where not to have those specific small cells that can be beneficial for the city on one end, but we need to make sure that a lot of things will take in place in consideration. The MMA, the Massachusetts Municipal Association, they have a kind of like policies in place that we've been looking at. The city attorney is here. She can actually explain to us what she have done if you guys want. And me and the council president, we already talked to a couple of consultants as well. And it's kind of like in a rush to be able to develop this and be able to finish it. Since the FCC, it's the organization that is actually telling us what to do.
Good evening, attorneys Rana.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, Neil.
Good. So yes, Councilor Rodriguez was talking about, he has asked me to look into having a policy or an ordinance here in Lawrence. Small cell installation is heavily regulated by the federal government, so there's only certain aspects in which local governments can get involved. But it is within kind of that aspect that he asked me to look into creating an ordinance for the city. And exactly how he said, what I've been looking into is, an application process, what information the city should be requesting from any of the applicants. Some fees are involved, but again, the fees are pretty much regulated by the FCC, so there's not a lot of leeway for the city. But essentially, without a policy, without an ordinance, it's the Wild West. They can they still have to be in compliance with federal laws, but without a local law, there's no local law that they need to be in compliance with. But from what I understand, this technology is what is going to essentially propel 5G into, for cell phone use, and that's kind of where all the cell phone companies are going, is 5G at some point. So even if we've only received, a certain amount of applications, I would anticipate that the city's going to see more applications just as this technology grows. So I do have a draft, but understand, I guess, I did it almost like a draft policy because I wasn't actually sure what Councilor Rodriguez was looking for. We did have a further conversation about what he's looking for, and it's something that I think merits a conversation, and if the councilors are interested, then, you know, we can convert that into an ordinance. Is that the one I gave you? Okay. So I didn't submit anything, so I don't know what that is.
Did not submit it?
I did
No.
not submit whatever.
Your information?
That was part of the package, the mayor and council president, we've been working on different things.
Yeah, so it's
So-
very similar.
It's probably very similar, so this is part of the package. You can definitely review what we have already compared to what you have, and then we can go from there. In the meantime, what we were looking for, and the meeting that the council president and myself, together with a couple of consultants, is we're looking to have this ordinance, at least send it over to the full council, and eventually have you have the final product while we actually working on asking for the public hearing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so if this is what you handed me, probably what was associated with the mayor's submission of this. And I did review it. Mine, the policy that I gave you that has the words draft on it has been edited. You know, so I did look at what the mayor submitted, but my version has a lot of different things from what I'm assuming you just gave me. And there's a couple of things that, you know, merit a conversation, I guess, with I don't know if it's with the ordinance committee or with the council on the whole, but, you know, some communities, which this portion is not in the draft that I gave you, but some communities also are looking to make sure that their ordinances or their policies include, you know, when Verizon wants to put up a small cell installation here, you know, if Verizon has a dead zone there, so might Sprint, so might T-Mobile, so they also have provisions where if several different companies are looking to put an installation in the exact same place, you know, they have to consolidate themselves, because what you don't want is, you know, essentially an antenna everywhere, right? So those are provisions that the city council has to think about, because like I said, it's here already and it's going to only expand, but, you know, that's one of the points that I would just want to make the council aware of. And then the other thing too is that the fees that are in here, like I said, they're capped by the FCC. The FCC issued a ruling in 2008 that essentially just took effect, and it limited severely how much municipalities or local government can charge for any such installation. But the numbers in my draft do reflect what the FCC's most recent ruling.
Yep. So essentially, it is very similar, and what we're looking for is the draft that you put together, because you are the city attorney. So, and definitely, those fees are heavily regulated by the FCC.
That's correct.
Not like before it used to be tons of money for municipalities. We missed out some of that money because we already approved, like Doty. But what we're getting ready is not to miss any opportunity available that is up there for the city of Lawrence. And moving forward, we were not charging anything. Now we're going to be charging some money, and plus we're going to be able to deliver some good signals to people based on these rules and regulations that we're approving, or at least that we're discussing tonight, and essentially approving it if the council decide to.
But the application, I do have a question. The application fee now, we say that we're gonna be charging $500 per application.
That's correct.
This is what we currently charging then, or not?
We don't charge anything. They just put it on the agenda and they asked for permission.
Exactly. And I don't know if you remember back then, Madam Chair, that
Yes, you did.
12 of them. We're looking forward to have some type of application fee.
Yeah, that, yes.
But we're not able to.
Okay.
We didn't have anything in place.
So installation is subject to a separate fee of $100 per installation in the event the city costs reviewing and any application exceeds the amount prescribed in this section. Okay.
So what the SEC says is essentially that the local governments can charge, what's reasonable for their costs. So it's essentially a reasonableness standard. So there may be situations where an application, there may need to be an expert or anything caused, and if that fee is now included in it and it now exceeds $500 for the city council to review that, then that provision just allows us to pass that reasonable cost, the actual cost
I
incurred by the
see.
city to the applicant.
Okay. Councilor De La Cruz.
Thank you, Madam. Then the $500 is gonna be just for 5 installation?
No, so every application is for 5
5
installations.
applications
Yeah.
at a time?
Yeah, so if they want to do 5, they don't have to do 5 separate applications, they can do it on one.
Okay, then, it's just one payment when they apply?
I'm sorry, it's just one payment.
It's just one payment when they do the application?
Initially, right, but there is a recertification and a public right-of-way use fee. So if you turn to page 4, the $500 is the initial application fee. But I guess what the process would be, just to kind of streamline it, is they apply, they have to, under this draft, they would apply, certain things have to be in the application. The application, if completed, comes to City Council. City Council has a certain amount of days in order to review it. They can either approve it with conditions, or deny it. But say it's approved. Once Verizon has these 5 installations out, they have to certify them every year, either that they're in use, or that they're down for maintenance, or that they're no longer in use. During that recertification process, if they want to continue using the ones that are in use, there is a recertification fee that we can provide for, which is on page 4, section 3, little b.
270.
Yeah. So essentially what that will be is kind of keep them accountable for all their installations. So they have to let us know every year which installations they're using, which ones they're not using. The ones that they're using, they have to pay a recertification fee. The ones that they're not using, they have 60 days to take it down.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. See if there's no any other question, can I get a motion to send it with the favor recommendation?
So move.
To order a public
A
hearing.
public hearing, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Is any other table item? Okay, so the document that we've just, take out of table, we send it with a favor recommendation to order a public hearing. Huh?
Motion to send,
No, Councilor Rodriguez made the motion and Councilor De La Cruz second to order.
go to public hearings.
And we all favor recommendation. 63-19.
Sí, que the house.
Motion to adjourn? We just, we have, no, we're gonna send it, we haven't. You second the motion to adjourn? Okay. Okay. So we're not gonna take it. Can I get a motion to take document 2, 2919. 29. Out of table. What is that? 2919. Just, let me just make sure that I got it. 224, that sounds more correct. It's 224? 25. Thank you. Out of table,
I don't find it.
which is the second page, right on the top.
Oh, 224.
224, motion to take document 224 at a table item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Can I get a motion to send document 224-19 with the favor recommendation pending a zoning board report that we